G'day Story Scoopers. My name's Benjamin Johnston and I live here in Sydney, and I'm an architect and a children's book illustrator. I've illustrated a whole variety of different types of stories, from stories about bears who want to be engineers, to stories about Aussie animals enjoying Christmas time around the Billabong, to stories about teenage boys who need to teach their parents a thing or two. But today, I'd like to talk to you about my latest book, Lingley's Lantern, written by Steve Herron and published by Midnight Sun Publishing. Lingley's Lantern is a Chinese parable or fable, and it tells a story about a girl called Lingley, and she's set a task by her father to go and prove what true wisdom is. But today, I want to talk about inspiration. What's inspiration? Well, inspiration means, where do the creative ideas come from? What was it that inspired me to come up with the illustrations for Lingley's Lantern? But the story didn't start with me. It started with the author, Steve Herron. Now, Steve's all the way over in Western Australia, over that way. So I need to send him a message and ask him to let us know what inspired him to write Lingley's Lantern. Here you go, Steve.
Hey, an email from the other side of Australia. It's from Ben. He wants to know what inspired me to write Lingley's Lantern. I was inspired by the quote from a man called Martin Luther King Jr., who said, "Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that." I wanted to write a story about wisdom and compassion and kindness. And I love lights and I love lanterns. And I love the idea that kindness is like a lantern to guide somebody's way. So all those elements came together with a family with 3 children, set it in a Chinese village. And about 5 years ago, I turned it into a picture book. And when Midnight Sun Publishing offered me a publishing contract, the next task was to find an illustrator. That's where Ben comes in. So I'm going to hand back to Ben now, who's going to tell you what inspired him to illustrate Lingley's Lantern.
Thanks, Steve. I was really excited to get Steve's story to play with. Now, the text never says, but it was clear when I read it that the story is set in a Chinese village from long ago. Now, I don't live in a Chinese village, so I needed some inspiration. Come along with me and let's have a look at what I managed to find. Hi, here I am in the Chinese gardens in Darling Harbour. And here I found lots of great inspiration. In Lingley's Lantern, there are bridges and lakes and pagodas, and all of these things you can see here in the gardens. There's even a bamboo forest, just like you find in the story. I needed to keep on drawing these inspirations to develop the pictures, just like looking at details here in the Chinese gardens. I also saw things on holidays I took with my family to China and Japan, and did sketches and took pictures while on holiday to use in the book. Another place I went to was the Art Gallery of New South Wales. I looked at Chinese fashion and Chinese art, particularly Chinese landscape painting. I wanted the authentic Chinese art to inspire me, and I wanted to try and learn all I could about it, to try and use this in the book. Thank you, Story Scoop, for having me on today. I've really enjoyed it. If you want to find out more about me or about Lingley's Lantern, there are illustrator notes on my website, unfolddesign.com.au. And there you can also contact me and ask me any questions you might have on how to find your inspiration. Thanks.
Hello and welcome to Story Scoop. My name is Elizabeth Mary Cummings, and I'm a primary school teacher and a children's author. And I'm here today to share with you my new book, Rainshaker. Rainshaker is published by Big Sky Publishing and illustrated by the wonderful Sherry Hughes.
Hi, my name's Sherry Hughes, and yes, I am the illustrator of our brand new book, Rainshaker. But this isn't our first project together. We've actually worked together in 2018 with the Forever Kids.
We seem to have this ability to connect, even though Sherry's in Melbourne and I'm here in Sydney. We both have kids, we both love the environment and the outdoors, and we're both passionate about making a difference. What Sherry's magically done with the story of Rainshaker is create a cover that draws people in from the very moment they pick up the book. They see a picture of joy and hope and colour. And that's all down to the illustrator's skill.
In the process of illustration, the cover is usually the first thing that comes. And our main character, Erin, shows me that she's very passionate, she shows love, and she's very positive.
And the positivity and her personality come out throughout the whole book. We see Erin jumping for joy, we see Erin thinking very hard, we see her muddled and discombobulated that these sunflowers that she is watching are not growing. So Erin is dynamic and entertaining throughout the whole book, and I think this is really a beautiful way for children to be introduced to the concept of climate change and of growth and of plant life cycles in this story, which is fun and whimsical on one hand, but based on fact in another, because it's very real. It's set here in Australia, it's set in a community that suffers drought, and it's based on real family life. Sherry, tell us a little about how you came from seeing the manuscript and the words to developing Erin and her family through your illustrations.
So I would receive the manuscript, and then we go into character design. And because Erin is so energetic and just a ball of energy, it was a joy to actually create her and her family. So it's a family of positivity. So they're showing her how to look at life and just take it with a smile. And I really wanted to show that in the character of Erin. As you can see here, I wanted to show how she uses her imagination and her thoughts to be able to come up with ideas of growing her flowers to give to her family. And after that, we go into the spreads, and we start designing the spreads and adding magic.
I do care a lot about the environment. I try to do my bit in this. This story really connects with me. Yeah, I like when the story connects. It makes it a lot easier to draw.
And what was incredible was how you took my words and put them visually into something that when I saw it, I cried, because you captured the essence of what I was trying to communicate. That night in bed, Erin listens to the rain she made, her rain. Her dreams are filled with streams where animals sit, rivers where magnificent boats sail, and oceans filled with the most splendid fish she's ever seen. Erin is a soaring bird, touching the clouds, making the rain fall and the sunflowers grow. Erin's sunflowers snake up out of their pots, twisting and dancing, sharing the joy wherever they go. Erin wakes, tumbling out of her dreams onto the floor. Scrambling to her window, she looks out at the morning. And to find out what Erin finds and discovers as she looks out of her window back in the reality of the outback farm, you'll have to go and find the little seed of Erin on a bookstore shelf near you. Thank you for listening, and we hope you enjoyed hearing a little bit about our teamwork and our creation of our much-loved Rainshaker picture book. A massive shout out and thanks to CBCA, and it's goodbye from us.
Hello, I'm Cate Whittle, and I write books for kids mostly with a bit of magical mayhem running through them. I'm really excited to be here talking to you on Story Scoop today so that I can let you know a little bit more about one of my books. The book that I'm going to talk about, Emergency Rescue Angel, is my 6th book with Omnibus Scholastic. It's about a boy, a beach and an angel, an emergency rescue angel. Yes, an angel. Haven't you ever wished you had an angel to give you a helping hand? Well, Emergency Rescue Angel grew out of an idea, just a little seed of a thought based on the fact that a lot of people believe in or think they have a guardian angel. I got to talking with my publisher about it, and at first we weren't sure that an angel would make a very appealing character, but my angel was going to be a little bit different. And she is too. Max has got attitude. She's a little bit goth, and her hero is Joan of Arc, who is a very strong woman who led an army into battle, if that gives you an idea of what Max is like. And sometimes she can even be a little bit scary, almost an avenging angel. In actual fact, in my early drafts, the story was more about the boy, Mitch. We didn't find out that Max was an angel until later. It was a kind of twist at the end of the story. But then we decided that it might be a great idea to give Max a more central role so that you, the readers, would know that she's an angel, but Mitch wouldn't be in on the joke. This meant that I needed to rewrite the story with additional scenes from Max's point of view. And that's how it came to be a story where we were finding out what was going on from both characters. The story centres on Mitch trying to find a new kind of normal after his father has died in an accident, saving a kid from drowning. And Mitch is at a stage where he's tuned out a bit and just wants everybody to leave him alone. But then all of a sudden there's this new girl in his class and she's stirring things up and pushing him a little bit. Meanwhile, he's also having trouble with some of the other kids in the class and things are getting kind of difficult. Just to add to his confusion, this is when he finds out that Max isn't exactly who she seems to be. She's his emergency rescue angel. But it turns out just the kind of friend you'd like to have around when things are getting a bit tricky. The book isn't just about grief, though. It's more about friendship and being there for one another. It's about finding yourself. And it's really about knowing that you're not alone. Good question. Well, I think there have been times in my life when an angel has turned up just when I needed one. But what do we mean by an angel? Could it be a family member or a friend or even a goofy golden retriever that makes us laugh at the right time? Or maybe it is a spiritual being or something from another dimension. I couldn't really answer that. But just for a few minutes, let's believe. And that's where the book came from. A boy in grief, an angel, and how would that all work out? But this, being me, it had to be a little bit light-hearted. There had to be some humour involved. Not that grief is ever funny, but maybe things don't always work out the way we expect them to. And that's what happened when I started to write about these two characters. Things weren't exactly what we expected them to be. When I write mostly to entertain. So first and foremost, I hope that when you read the book, you just enjoy the story and the humour and get to know the characters. But as with most books, there are deeper layers. Maybe it might give cause to think about others and their needs and how we can be the angels and wrap our wings around them when they need that sort of support and friendship. And I think the big thing to take away is that we're not alone. There's always someone we can turn to when things get a bit tough. We all need an angel sometimes. But here's hoping you have a great year ahead of you with no need for an emergency rescue angel of your own. Thanks for joining Max and Mitch and me today. And thank you to StoryScoop for giving me the opportunity to have a bit of a chat about Emergency Rescue Angel. Bye.